Don't play with it, don't play with it, don't play with it. Don't play with it.
Hey guys, you already know what it is. It's your girl Shy, and yes, we are back with another video, y'all. So as you guys can see by that thumbnail and that title, we're gonna be getting into all of the baddie drama, y'all. Yes, the Baddies Midwest Reunion. We are gonna be getting into it. It was a lot so far in part one, and if you haven't seen the episode, your girl got you. Already got my notes on standby. You already know how I do it. So yeah, y'all, we're gonna get straight into it. If you have not liked, comment, and subscribed already, go ahead and do so, and put on that notification bell because yes, y'all, this is part one, and I'm gonna be doing the parts as it go along, right? So as I'm watching, I'm gonna be writing my notes and stuff so that we can talk about it together, y'all. So if you've seen the episode already, we're gonna be, talking in the comments, so you already know how we do it. Yeah, y'all. So we're gonna get straight into it. What exactly happened in part one? So let's go, y'all. Let's talk about it. All right, y'all. So the episode starts, and we basically get like a whole run through of what happened the whole entire season, of the fights, all of the drama, the online stuff. It kind of like comes up throughout the season, so we kind of like get a glimpse of the whole entire season. If you've seen this season, y'all, it went up. I'm gonna say this right now. The new girls, they did their big one. The OGs was kind of slacking, so I'm glad it was definitely mentioned at the reunion for sure. But in the beginning of the episode, we kind of like get a run through of what exactly happened. So you guys, reunion day is here. So all the girls start to pull up. They looking good. I love seeing like the beginning of the reunions when like everybody's getting out their car looking good. And y'all, this look right here on Nunu definitely ate down. I'm telling you, the red looks so good on her. I like the Nunu throughout the season. She did have a little shaky moments when it came to me, but all in all, she is a really good addition to the Baddies franchise. And yeah, she ate this look down, period. Big Legs, on the other hand, she came with a mission, okay? She was not playing, she was standing on business, and I love that because what you say in your confessionals, it was definitely adding up, Big Legs, and that's what I love about you, because you do not play at all. So yeah, some more baddies started to arrive. Here's Ivory. I love the gold on her. I love the hair and makeup. She definitely ate. She was definitely one of my favorites for this season for sure, because she was definitely unproblematic, but she definitely had the hands to back up, how she was feeling based off of who provoked her. She's one of the types that like she don't really act out on anything until she's provoked. She's not a bully like how people was painting her to be, and I liked her for this season. She definitely ate that. Okay, y'all, so here's some of the OGs. Rolly, she definitely ate this look. I'm tired of the waist trainers. I am. But yeah, she definitely looked good. Her hair and makeup was definitely tea. Rolly, she was one of my favorites for baddies, but like this season, it has me looking at Rolly a whole different way now. Like, we're gonna get into that a little bit later, y'all. But listen, here's Rolly, y'all. She was looking good. Her hair and makeup was definitely tea for sure. And here's our fabulous host, Miss Janisha John, ladies and gentlemen. Even though this wasn't her look for the reunion, she definitely ate when it came down to this look right here. Because like when you getting out your car, you definitely want to look, the part. You know what I'm saying? It's the reunion night. Everything is going down. You definitely want to look tea. So I'm glad that she was able to come back and host again. Me personally, like, I love the fact that she gets to host every time because, she gives that professional kind of look, that mama bear kind of feel, because like all these young girls, they turn up, they really angry, they're upset, they want to fight, but like she definitely knows how to calm the ladies down and really ask the questions that need to be asked, and she's definitely professional and she's beautiful. So yeah, go Janisha. So y'all, here's Saucy Santana. Santana is coming back, y'all, and I am glad he came back. Why? Because he was asking the questions that the viewers wanted to know the answers to. He wasn't that type of co-host that was kind of like holding back, like he definitely asked the questions that need to be asked. And yeah, like of course his outfit was definitely on point for sure, and I just love his like energy when it comes down to the reunion, and I hope that he comes back for like the future reunions for baddies, because he definitely is a good addition for sure. And of course the boss lady herself, Miss Natalie Nunn, ladies and gentlemen. Her hair and her makeup was always on point all season long. I love the looks. A lot of people was like coming for her as far as like they trying to say she was copying off a Stunner Girl. I mean, it's like every girl is going to have some sort of similarity, because these are not hairstyles that people own. We all going to end up with the same bust down or the same whatever. So I feel like I can kind of see what they're talking about, but at the same time, everybody's going to end up wearing the same thing or whatever. So Natalie did her big one all season, and then on top of that, I feel like she did have some shaky moments. I'm not gonna hold you, but we're gonna get into it later. We definitely gonna get into it. But as far as this like walk down kind of like look that she going for right now, she definitely is doing it. So y'all, before we see the rest of the ladies, we kind of like get a glimpse of what the stage is kind of giving, and it was definitely, you know, beautiful. Of course, whoever does like the stage design every year, or not every year, but you know, every time there's a reunion, they're definitely doing the big one for sure. And I love the colors. I love the, you know, the ambiance, the lights, I love it. I love it all. And I don't know. I know I can't be the only one when they be jacking up the stage, like all that work. And if I designed that, I would be heated. Like, I did all that work and y'all just jacking up my work. Like, no. Okay, y'all. So now we get a glimpse of like all of the ladies in their separate rooms. Here's Rolly, here's Dolly, here's Summer, and here's Big Lex, y'all. So they're getting together. They're kind of like, you know, talking about the reunion, what to expect, you know. They're kind of like, you know, just chopping it up, getting into it. Rolly, she definitely mentions about the situation between her and Summer as far as like the Baddies Africa auditions. And if you haven't seen that, you know, go watch that, because you're gonna be like, what, yo? They ended up getting into it. They was fighting, you know, it was a whole big thing. So it went up. So Rolly, she definitely apologized because she kind of like felt like, you know, her being an OG, she could have handled that situation a little better, which is true, you know. And I'm glad that she was a grown woman enough to, you know, admit that and to apologize, you know. So now the other ladies, they definitely mentioned that they was kind of like grateful for Rolly because, you know, she was one of the OGs that, you know, kind of welcomed them, you know, even though they're newbies, you know, Rolly definitely welcomed them. You know, she definitely extended herself to the other ladies, which is amazing to see that, you know, an OG can definitely do that still. So I felt like, you know, Natalie, she definitely could have did that a little more. The rest of the OGs could have did that more, but I'm glad that Rolly did that. And so the ladies are kind of like, you know, talking about that and like overall like how they're feeling about the whole season. So now we have Ivory, we have Pretty Pete, and we have Jazz. So they're getting together to talk about the reunion, and they are ready. And I don't blame them because a lot of people was one way in the confessionals and another way in the actual scene. But these ladies, they are ready to go ham because I think these three right here, like they handle business. Like whoever had smoke with them, they was not afraid to say what needed to be said. They wasn't afraid to get in the paint and like to fight that individual. You know, whoever was kind of like coming with the smoke at them, they wasn't afraid to give that smoke right back. You know, so yeah, they was definitely ready. So now we have Anna, we have Tasiki, we have Scotty, and we have Biggie. So these ladies are getting together talking about the reunion. You know, they're kind of like ready for it all. And Rolly comes up in the conversation. You know, they're basically saying that it's just really weird how now Rolly is kind of like treating some of them differently because of how they feel as far as the Slim treatment. And we all feel the same way. Like, Rolly, who do you think you are to be treating Slim like that? Like, she is a human being, like, you know. And they want to be talking about bullying. That was definitely bullying. Like the whole Slim treatment, that was definitely bullying for sure. But then you have Anna. Like Anna, she was basically saying like, listen, Slim knew exactly what she signed up for. She was not an original baddie for this particular season, but she wanted to get on the show that bad, and she was willing to be somebody's basically lapdog, somebody's assistant, so they say, you know. But you knew what you signed up for, which is true to a degree, but she knew what she signed up for. I get it, but at the same time, like the way Rolly was treating her and the way Rolly was allowing the other ladies to treat her like as if that wasn't your friend before, even though they did have prior beef. Now we have to admit that, you know, because Slim was speaking on her son, and then Rolly was speaking on Slim's dead, you know, father. So they both, you know, they went below the belt. They both did, and I don't feel like it was really necessary for Slim to get all the heat that she got, considering Rolly, she went below the belt as well. So like in the beginning, y'all, we did see that Slim, she did come to the reunion. So hopefully like for the reunion, she at least has a chance to kind of like say her piece, because the whole world was like, you know, this whole Slim treatment was definitely terrible. So hopefully like for the reunion, she does get like a little, you know, say so in the whole matter. All right, y'all. So now we have Tinkerbella, we have Nunu, we have Jayla, Jaden, and DTB, we have Diamond. So y'all, this was one of the, I think I like this conversation because it definitely needed to be had, because two of these ladies definitely had like some beef prior to the reunion. After the actual taping of Baddies Midwest, some of the ladies, they linked up, and it was a situation between Tinka and Jayla that kind of like went viral. The two ended up arguing. It was a whole big thing, and like Tinka was calling Jayla a turkey. Like it was all kinds of like stuff going on in that scene, y'all. Tinka definitely felt like Jayla could have did more to defend her friend Natalie, but you know, of course, Jayla, she says that Tinka could have did more as far as Meatball was concerned, like defending her, and that was her sister, being in her sister's corner, which is facts, because she could have did at least a little more as far as Meatball was concerned. But y'all, as far as the whole situation, y'all, Jayla, she was saying like she never even had a chance to apologize because every time she turned around, like, Tinka was saying more disrespectful things to Jayla. So it was like, when somebody's trying to apologize, for what may have took place, because I didn't forgot the whole background of that kind of like, story as far as like what exactly happened, like how did this turn up so quick. But Jayla, she was saying like she never even got a chance to apologize about what happened because she just kept being disrespected, like, and I don't, I wouldn't be feeling bad either, like if somebody disrespecting me, here it is, I'm trying to apologize, but like you're not even hearing that, or I even get a chance to do that because you're constantly being disrespectful out of your mouth. So I kind of like got where she was coming from. So the ladies, they kind of like had like a little talk. I don't think it kind of like went anywhere, besides like this conversation right here. But these ladies, they weren't once friends on the show. They were friends. So I mean, I don't know where it goes from here, but that's what happened in this scene right here, y'all. So y'all, we're back to Ivory, Jazz, and Pretty P. Jazz was saying like she want to change her outfit because she wants to be ready at all times, and I definitely got her like when she said that because listen, especially at these reunions, and here it is. I think this reunion right here was definitely like the most. I think it definitely had the most beefs. Like, if I'm not mistaken, put in the comments if I'm wrong, y'all. But this right here, I think this reunion definitely had the most beefs. Like, who y'all think had the most beefs? I think Summer, because Summer, her mouth just like was nonstop all season long, like from top to bottom, from the start to the end of the season. Like, she was just nonstop. But I think she had the most beefs. Now, did she win every fight? But yeah, I definitely got where Jazz was coming from. Like, you just gotta be ready. You just gotta be ready. Y'all, so now we back with these ladies, and Biggie thought now's the time to like press Scotty. She talking about some Scotty, if somebody like try to come for you, like what you gonna do? Like, girl, when people was coming for you, you wasn't saying none of that in the actual scene. Like, you was really popping your stuff on the confessionals. Like, you was doing all that in your confessionals, but in the actual scene, like in front of these ladies, you was not about that. So don't feel like now you can now press somebody else about what they want to do about their beefs and what they got going on, when you wasn't even trying to do the same thing for your stuff. So like, worry about you. But the other ladies, they was kind of like, I felt like they was looking at Biggie like, girl, like, stop. But they was kind of like talking about that. And then y'all, Anna, she drops a huge bomb. She says that people was really trying to jump at the reunion. So when she said that, I wasn't really surprised. But like, with her, I can say for sure, even though she wasn't my favorite, but I can say for sure that, even though she's small, her confidence and her personality is definitely large, and she really can, like, even though she might not win every fight, she might not win every fight, but she definitely can have those hands, to back up what she's saying for sure. Y'all, so this scene right here, it was really crazy. So listen, we're back with Rolly, Dolly, we're back with Summer and Big Lex. So they're talking, and Rolly, she's showing the ladies her new dog, and I think this was kind of like a dig towards Scotty, because like we all know Scotty is like the dog mom of Baddies, right? So like, now the ladies are saying that Rolly's dog can fight Capri, which is Scotty's dog, like just catty stuff, right? So in the midst of all this, meanwhile, you have Emma and Yoshi. Yoshi was on the show like a split second. I don't even remember her even being on Baddies for like a long time because she wasn't. But listen, y'all, they walk in, and you already know Emma already had her beefs with Summer and Dolly. So listen, y'all, they get into it, but this is what I don't like. While she's fighting Summer, they're going at it. Here's Dolly from behind, you trying to jump, and I think that is so whack to me. That is so whack. Like, if your homegirl is fighting who she got a problem with, you don't need to jump in nothing. Like, let them get their ones by themselves. Like, if she really that girl, like how she said, because Summer, she do have all this mouth. So if she's really about what she's talking, let her handle that. You don't need to jump in nobody's fight. Like, that is really weird, And then the aftermath of that, look, now Emma, I think her lip was bleeding, or nose, whatever, it was bleeding. Like, she had a lot of blood. So, they got her, but it was only because she was fighting Summer and Dolly jumped in there, and she was able to get a good grip on Emma because Emma wasn't even paying her any mind because she was too busy with Summer, working Summer, So while she's kind of like cleaning herself up, she kind of like explaining that while like all these girls want to do is jump in other people fight. And that's facts because they was doing that all season, really all season. Like they was really like, I get it, you want to have your friends back, but to a degree, like, come on now. Like if your friend really have she can really hold her own, let her do that. Like, you don't have to jump in. Like, let her do that. Yo, so now we're moving on to Janisha and Saucy Santana. So the two are linking up. They are very excited about the reunion, about hosting, And so Saucy Santana, he said something that was really good. He said, like, tonight is going to be like, it's going to be Judgment Day. Like, people need to stand on business. Whoever was popping their stuff in the confessionals, I need you to have that same energy on the stage. And I cannot agree more, because it's about time that you have a host that will really like let people know like what's really going on. Like if it's really weird stuff going on, if Baddies not really standing on nothing, it's about time we have a host that is not afraid to kind of like let that out. Even though Janisha was doing her thing, but Saucy Santana was definitely bringing it out of the ladies for sure. These two, they was definitely saying like the newbies definitely brung they A game, like they was on it this season, and I cannot agree more because that was definitely true. Like the newbies definitely did they big one all season. Like, and if you disagree, listen. If you disagree, like the newbies wasn't really on nothing, if you feel like that, put it in the comments because we definitely gotta talk about that. Because listen, they definitely did they big ones. I'm sorry, they did it. Y'all, then you have this weirdo Melanie, what's her name? Melanie, yeah, her. So she's from a whole nother network, but she came like towards like the very tail end of Baddies, not as a baddie, but to kind of like confront one of the baddies, which is Ivory. So her and Ivory, they basically had like prior beef to the show, and like they basically wanted to fight it out, whatever they had to do like to get this thing squashed, but it was never squashed. So while Mel is going on and on and on about how uncomfortable she is about all the ladies being there, and she felt like people are going to jump her, all that. So while she's talking, Natalie is just sitting there just listening to what she have to say and just kind of like being on her side just to kind of like calm her down, just saying like whatever you need, like I'm here, like if you want to leave, that's fine. Basically like just let her know that like it's all right, no one's going to jump you, like I'm right here, nothing's going to happen to you. But it's like, and Natalie does this often, like when it comes down to like newer baddies or like the other women that may come on the show. She always like act as if like she wants to be there for them and like in their corner, but then you guys are going to see in the next clip. So right now, y'all, here's Ivory. She's at the bottom of the step and she is waiting on Mel. Like she's sitting here just waiting, and the security with her, as you guys can see. And like, yeah, like Mel, she's sitting here going back and forth with Natalie, saying she uncomfortable, she don't want to fight and all of that, but Ivory is waiting on her. So look, y'all, Mel gets to the bottom of them steps, or she's walking down the steps, she's going back and forth for Ivory. Of course, them two start arguing back and forth, but it gets nowhere. They never started fighting. So like it was just a whole bunch of that, and like disrespecting each other, like cursing at each other. It was just a whole bunch going on. Like all of this is from beef that happened off camera, but this is what happens when you pop it, you do all this mouth and lip service all on social media, and then when it's time to really do something about it and really like get in the paint and like really fight for real, you don't want to do it. So it's like, don't pretend like you all tough and stuff on social media, and then when it's time to really do that, you telling Natalie you uncomfortable, people want to jump you, you don't want to fight. It's like stop with the copping please, and like come on, like stop with the pretending like you this hard girl online, then in person it's like it's not giving that. But y'all let me know in the comments like if y'all think Mel should be an actual baddie. I don't think so. Some people online was like bring Mel on baddies and all that, but like when Natalie gave her a chance to kind of like do her big one as far as her beef with Ivory, she didn't take that chance. So this whole scene, it definitely didn't go anywhere. So like the whole time they're arguing back and forth, security is holding Ivory back, but nothing is really happening. And then like of course Mel, she's like going back and forth like from the car, she's ready to get in the car, she's ready to go. And like this is where this scene pretty much wraps up. Like they never ended up fighting, it was just a whole bunch of screaming, and then Ivory went back to go get ready for the reunion. So now y'all, the reunion officially starts, and as you guys can see, the live audience is back, y'all. So of course everyone is hyped, they're excited, they can't wait to see all the baddies, they can't wait to see all the drama play out, and yeah, it's a vibe. Y'all, why did Natalie choose to perform her song? Because like it's given very much like Jocelyn's Cabaret, because like on her reunion show she was doing like the live performance and all that, but now baddies want to have like a little performance. Like stop. And then y'all, Bobby Lights come out and he's just hyping up the crowd, everything is everything. He's making sure everybody is good to go for the reunion. And yeah, we're gonna see exactly how this play out, y'all. Also, then Janisha John comes out looking fabulous as always. And then y'all, she introduces Saucy Santana as her co-host. So the two are, I think they blend well together. I think so. If y'all agree with me, comment down below. I think the two, like, they kind of like complement each other. Like, Janisha is more like the classy baddie, she's gonna say what needs to be said, but like in a respectful way, in a professional way. But Saucy Santana, he's the one that's gonna be like, listen, we're gonna call things for what it is, we're gonna tell the truth at all times. And I love it. I love every bit of it. So listen, y'all, Saucy Santana, he mentioned like that Summer was his favorite out of all the girls. He was saying like, even though Summer, she was getting beat up a few times and all that, like she still remained herself. Like, oh my mama, you know how Summer do. Like, she was still herself. And I kind of like that too. Like, even though you are the least favorite out of all the baddies, you still remain yourself the whole way. Even though people might not like it, I definitely didn't like Summer the whole season, but she never changed who she was. So you have to give her credit for that. You have to. He also mentioned that Tinka was his least favorite. I like Tinka, plus she's from Philly, so I mean, I don't know why he don't like Tinka. He didn't really like give a good reason, but he said Tinka was his least favorite, so I don't know what's up with that. But he did mention like a really good point, like how I mentioned earlier, like a lot of people was, they was talking that tough talk in their confessionals, and that is so true for a lot of this group. They was talking a lot like that, that tough talk in the confessionals, but when it was time to pop that stuff in person, like in the actual scenes, you wasn't getting none of that. Like, nobody was having that tough, like, or barely anybody, because there was a few people that was staying on business, but a vast majority of them, they wasn't really about that in like the actual scene. So I don't know what was up with that, but yeah, the T was definitely clocked for sure. Listen, y'all, I really hope that they definitely bring back Saucy Santana for like future reunions, because he's a really good addition as far as like a host that is really like, vocal, and like just like you can tell that he's been watching the whole season. Like, he's just not talking based off of social media stuff. Like, you can tell he's really invested, which is good, because you're gonna need that when you host. Like, you gotta do your homework, so I definitely, I'm glad that he was a good addition. I'm glad that they brought him back for sure, because he be really clocking it, and he really be asking the questions that the viewers want to know, like, just to get those answers out. So then y'all, Natalie comes out, then Scotty comes out, then you have Tasiki, and then you have DTB, Diamond, whatever you want to call her. But this is where things go left, and if you know, you definitely know. So while this idiot decides to hug everybody, right, she decides to take that opportunity to like catch Natalie off guard and decides to smack her. Mind you, we later find out, as that kind of segment goes on, why she did this. But when she did it, everybody was just like so shocked, and I think that was very corny of her to take that opportunity to like do that, because that was just really weird. Like, this girl has been known to be a clout chaser, so the first thing I thought when I seen that was just like, oh, this is just one of her like stunts that she normally do, just to like get further along as far as like the Baddies franchise. Like, she wants to have a bigger platform, and doing stuff like that is going to definitely boost that up for sure. But this right here is just straight up wrong. Like, you don't hit the lady that put you on. Like, girl, what are you doing? Y'all should have seen like everybody's reaction when she hit Natalie, because like nobody was seeing that coming. Like, nobody could have ever expected that. And then when that happened, Scotty, she said she took off her shoes just to be on guard, because DTB like literally sprung that on them. Like, nobody was ready for that. So of course, as always, they get the tussling, they get the fighting, and like it's just going up from there. Like, Natalie is trying her best to get her back, but of course the security always in the way. So like Santana is like, no, let Natalie get her. Like, no, like, move the security out the way. Like, Natalie she needs her get back. She needs her lick back for sure, because that right there is crazy. Like, you don't hit the boss lady. Like, what are you doing? So both of them, they're backstage, and they're kind of like talking about what happened. So like Natalie, like, what's up? Like, why would you just do that? DTB talking about some, based off of like some online stuff, of course. She was feeling like Natalie was being like a little weird towards her, being very fake when it came down to Anna beefing with one of her friends. And Natalie has said, like, listen, like, you're not, like, you as a baddie, you can't let outside people wanting to jump, the baddies, you're basically your co-workers, like don't have outside people in your business. That's all Natalie was saying. But Diamond, she feel like, that there's consequences when you insert yourself and when you not have everybody's back and when you want to be choosy and weird, which is, I do agree with that. Like, you as the boss lady, you have to set the tone for how the rest of the ladies kind of act. And when you're acting just as childish as them, they're not going to know who to follow. But you still have to know your place as an employee, because Natalie is still, the CEO of Baddies. Like, she is the EP. Like, she is the boss lady as far as Baddies is concerned. If this is what you want your platform to kind of be, like baddie based, you want to be a part of Baddies like that, you have to show respect, period. It's crazy because Scotty was saying, like, backstage they was just taking shots, they was just like partying and stuff, they was just like, having a good time backstage. And Scotty said that she asked both of them, like, is there an issue, like, is there anybody that have an issue, whatever, and they both said that they was cool, like they was good. So I feel like, Diamond, you knew for a fact you wanted to embarrass Natalie and you wanted to do your quote unquote big one, but you didn't do anything but embarrass yourself because you literally just got fired on national TV. Congratulations. So while everybody is still trying to like figure out what exactly just happened, Natalie, she's backstage. Natalie's trying to figure out exactly what happened herself. Like, she don't want no parts of Diamond anymore. She's telling the producers, like, listen, do not bring her back on the stage. If you do, like, it's up. And I don't blame her, because, like, listen, I am Baddies, okay? So without Natalie like putting this together with the help of other people, like, there wouldn't be a Baddies to even be on. I feel like Diamond should definitely use that opportunity to talk to Natalie to figure out exactly what happened, just to like, squash everything. But of course, we all know that Diamond is a cloud chaser, so of course she's gonna do the most when it come down to like beefs and stuff. But the whole scene was just definitely uncalled for, and it was definitely a strong start to the reunion. Like, that right there was crazy. So y'all, then they let the audience get a turn, have them kind of figure out why would DTV do what she just did. So this one lady right here, she was basically saying, like, Diamond, she did that because Natalie was being very fake, very phony, and just not treating everybody right, not being equal as far as the Baddies, which is true to a degree, but like, that's not a good enough reason. But we all know the real reason is because Anna was beefing with one of DTV's friends, and because of Natalie's comment, Diamond didn't really like that too much, because as the boss, you can't really say, like, certain things, but at the same time you can, but Diamond, she didn't like Natalie's response, so she wanted to fight Natalie. That's not a good enough reason, but that was her reason. So then, y'all, they announced Jayla, and she comes out. She's looking cute, and I love this hair on her. I love the color. I love the bone straight. Like, she looks amazing as always. And y'all, so while Jayla is coming out, we kind of like get a little sneak peek as to what's going on behind the scenes. Backstage, Natalie, she's still upset, of course. And next thing you know, some of the baddies started like, jumping in the conversation, started saying a little 1-2 as far as how Natalie was feeling. So Natalie kindly told them, like, listen, I am the boss here. Like, if you don't like it, you would easily be replaced. And that's okay. You better tell them, Natalie. Tell them. Because listen, like, you're not going to feel like you can disrespect the boss and still have a job. Like, that goes for anybody that has a job. Like, you can literally work at whatever clothing store or restaurant, whatever, like, no matter what job you have. And you see them, they're TV personalities. So, like, it still remains. Like, you cannot disrespect your boss and still feel like you'll have a job, So Natalie made a good point right there. Like, listen, if you don't like it, you would easily get replaced, and I would easily get new baddies to replace you. Like, don't feel like you're irreplaceable, because you definitely can be replaced. Some of the other ladies, they were kind of in agreement as far as like Natalie sometimes being fake, having her fakish ways, which is true. Like, Natalie did show some fakeness, but at the end of the day, if you don't like how fake this lady is, how she switch up and how she's this and that, why are you on her show? Why are you constantly coming back? Even if they did call you to come back to the show, you can say no. You can literally walk away from something and not return. If you really feel that way about, the EP, if you really feel that way about Natalie, listen, you can walk away. It's very much possible, because you know how many women that be showing up to these auditions wanting your spot, and here it is, you have the audacity to smack the lady that gave you the green light, the green flag that gave you the golden ticket to Baddies. Like, stop. So y'all, then then Rolly comes out, y'all. As you already know, she came out like dressed like she was ready to fight whoever, whenever, which is, necessary because coming to these reunions, you gotta be ready at all times. So this is what Rolly is giving. I like the hair and makeup, but as far as the outfit, like, come on, Rolly. But I get it, because you're coming to a reunion. It's basically a war zone. So next time, get a little dress. So Jayla, she was basically explaining to Rolly how disrespected she felt because of the whole situation between her and Rolly was concerned. As far as Tommy, the whole scene on the show when Tommy had brought the BB gun and shot her and Tinka. So Rolly felt like Jayla was being disrespectful because she felt like Jayla was laughing at her about the situation, but Jayla was explaining like stuff like that she takes very serious. Like, she wouldn't even laugh at stuff like that, which is facts. Like, that's something serious. I didn't see Jayla laugh. I just seen like everybody kind of like move away from the scenario because a gun, you don't know if it's real. It could be a BB gun or like a real type gun. Like, why would you even bring that? But Tommy be on that crazy stuff, so you just never know how she coming. But it's just like, the whole scenario within itself, like, I can understand why the ladies were upset, like Tinka and Rolly, because Natalie and like the other ladies, like, as their friends, y'all could have been there more. Y'all definitely could have been there more as far as that situation was concerned. And on the show, the ladies did address them as far as that, but at the reunion, things get, spilled out as well. So even after like the whole conversation, as far as this, like, the two ladies were able to hug it out, which was amazing to see, because it's always good when, like, if the ladies are beefing, they can, hug it out and move past the issues and stuff that's going on the show. So that's a good thing. So then, y'all, listen, then Natalie, she comes back on the stage, and then she basically explains, what happened. She's basically saying, like, listen, all this came from the beef between Anna and Diamond's friend. Basically, Natalie has said, like, listen, you can't let your friends try to jump or anything, do anything to the baddies, because these are your co-workers, like, these are your baddie sisters, so you can't do that. You can't allow that to happen. The Diamond was saying, but that's my best friend, and Natalie was saying, and like, so what? Like, that can be your best friend. Don't let them disrespect any of the baddies. But Diamond didn't like that, and she ended up having beef with Natalie, and she wanted to fight Natalie and smack her and do what she did, which was really corny, and it's not a good enough reason to do what she did. So while they're talking, Bobby was saying that he wants to know, like, what's up with Scotty and Rolly, like, because they had their little, like, differences and stuff online as well as like in person. Like, it was a huge fallout between them two, as definitely as far as like the whole shooting situation with Tommy. Like, Rolly felt like Scotty and the other ladies could have been there more for her, so which is understandable. And then Rolly definitely mentions that she was upset with Scotty because Scotty didn't really have her back. But listen, as far as the Slim situation, Scotty is right. Like, wrong is wrong and right is right. And listen, if you're wrong for treating somebody like that, you're definitely wrong. Like, so what? That's your friend, and a real friend is gonna let you know, like, you're wrong for that, or like, they're not gonna have your side when they see that you're doing something wrong. Like, they're gonna be like, sis, you could have treated that girl better. So what? She is not your friend right now, but still show her respect. Like, that's a human being. You don't have to do the most. But look, y'all, Scotty, listen, Scotty has been showing me that, listen, I can be cute, but I can still have a strong opinion. And that's what she said. Like, I can still be your friend and still have a strong opinion about, how I feel. Like, I can stand on my opinion and be your friend, which is true. Because, like, your friend is not going to only just listen to your opinion and just saying, agreement type words to your opinions. Like, they're not going to always agree with what you have to say. A real friend is going to let you know when you're wrong. And that's what she was doing. Like, she was just voicing that, listen, like, I'm not really with this bullying stuff. Like, I'm not with it. And that, good for you, Scotty. Good for you for standing up for yourself and your opinions. Listen, if y'all saw how Slim was being treated, like the few episodes that she was on as far as Baddies was concerned, y'all would be in agreement as well. Like, that treatment was not good at all whatsoever. And I believe, yeah, Slim is a part of the reunion. So we'll see exactly how that plays out once she finally gets on the stage. We'll see. So Rolly did mention that, like, during the whole scenario about like the whole shooting and stuff, she's felt away the fact that her friends wasn't really like showing up the way she may have thought they would, which is true, because like when you go through something traumatic like that, not mattering if the gun was real or not, it don't matter. The fact that somebody wanted to shoot me, like, just think about that. Like, if somebody wanted to shoot you, like, that's a life or death type situation. So, like, that's something serious, and that's not something to laugh about or joke about. And I feel like if you have friends that were also there at the scene, and then after the situation, like if you get injured or whatever, if they're not really there for you after, that goes to show how they really feel. But according to the ladies, they were there for her, but she don't really feel like it. But she started going into details like, Tasiki been to my house, and she felt like Tasiki and Jayla, like the different ladies, they were showing up for her as a friend, but she was more so adamant about Scotty not showing up for her as a friend. So the two, they ended up talking it out. No, they did not fight. The audience really wanted them to fight. I thought that was really corny, but I'm glad they were able to talk it out and like squash it right there on the stage. So y'all look, then Biggie comes out. Listen, the big Dominican, she comes out. And everybody loves Biggie. Everybody in the audience, they rocking with Biggie. They love her. So then Anna gets announced and she coming out with a good energy. I'm loving this little like curl in the front. Like, that's a cute look on her. I love that. And then her and Biggie, they kind of like talk about their whole friendship throughout the whole show. She was basically saying like, listen, today is the reunion and I'm ready for whatever, because Janisha was basically asking her and Biggie, like, as far as their beefs. Biggie was saying like she's the communicative baddie, whatever that means, because if that equals not really standing up for myself and not really standing 10 toes down as far as like what I say in my confessionals, then she doing it. But other than that, listen, I can understand you want to communicate, because everything don't always has to be about fighting, but don't let your confessionals be like fighting words and like you talking all this tough stuff, like, and then you really not even on that for real in real life, like in 4K. Like, you're not about that, Biggie. Like, come on now, let's not do that. So the two ladies, they're talking about their whole experience all together as far as like the season is concerned, and like how glad they were to have each other as far as like the whole season. And yeah, like they stuck up for each other, which is good, but like the jumping stuff, I can't get with it, sorry. And then you guys, Tinka gets announced, and yes, that is a baby bump, y'all. She is pregnant and she is glowing, y'all. So she says like thank you to the whole pink type vibe in the room, basically hinting that she is having a girl. And yeah, we're happy for her. She's glowing. I love this look on her. I love the outfit that she definitely chose to kind of like showcase her pregnancy, reveal type thing. And yeah, she looks amazing. So congrats to you, girl. Congrats. Yo, I thought this part right here was really, really weird, because wasn't you just saying that she was your least favorite baddie, but yet you're hugging her like that? That did not add with me at all. That did not add up to me. I just thought that was really weird, but this is Baddies Reunion. You just don't know what to expect, right? So while the ladies are talking, they're basically saying like, congrats to Tinka. She's saying how excited she is for the new baby. And yeah, so Saucy, he was saying like, listen, Tinka's off limits. She cannot fight. Tink, you are not fighting, okay? Because she's pregnant, y'all. And listen, I thought it was really weird because the audience was not feeling it at all, because they wanted her to still fight. I'm like, she's pregnant. Like, what, yo? I thought that was really weird. But listen, Tink, protect your baby, okay? You look good, girl. You don't always have to fight. And plus, you're pregnant, so take it easy. But then, y'all, they decided to bring this dummy back on stage. Even after Natalie said not to bring her back, or else it's going to go up. And that's exactly what happened. So take a look. So y'all, Rolly and her, they go at it. Rolly decides to step up to the plate first. She squares up with DTB, and she's not, ducking no smoke. And I love it. I love every bit of it. I just feel like when it comes to Diamond, somebody needs to definitely sun her and put her in her place. Like, listen, all this clout chasing you want to do and like disrespecting the boss. Like, yes, Natalie is on the show, but Diamond was trying to make that a point of hers. Like, okay, I really don't have to respect you for real, because you're just like everybody else. Like, you're a castmate because you're actually on the show. But like, she could be on her show and be the boss of it. Like, it's her show. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to make a guest appearance, if she want to just be an actual cast member, like, she can do that. But I feel like this whole situation with Diamond, it kind of like took over the first portion of the reunion. It definitely took over, and it definitely was the main highlight of the night for sure. So then, y'all, the episode comes to an end, but listen, we kind of like get a glimpse of what's going to happen in part 2. As always, they always give us like a little 1-2 of like the next episode. So let's see exactly what's going down. Let's see exactly what's going to happen. So the newbies, they coming out, they going crazy. Let's go. So like when the newbies came out, the rest of the ladies, they was already like on guard. They was on their 1s and 2s for sure, because Anna kind of like gave them the hint, like, listen, some of them aren't talking about jumping, so be on your A game, like be on the swivel. Like you just never know who's gonna come from where, because they like to sneak, they like to jump, they like to do all of that. So just be on your swivel, be on the swivel. I believe this is what Jayla and Big Lex. So they ended up getting into it. They did have their little squabble on the show, but I don't even know if that even got resolved, because it was just like constant weirdness coming towards Jayla and Big Lex. Like they were doing stuff to each other, and I feel like I'm more so on Big Lex side, because I feel like she had really good valid points. Because Jayla, as an OG, you should have known better to kind of like dismiss the newbies. Like you should have been more open and more willing to learn them, instead of just like treating them like but they ended up getting into it. And then Big Irie, she comes out and she's looking for Big Lex. Them two, they fought on the show, but I don't think their beef kind of like got resolved. They just kind of like existed amongst each other, but I don't think they resolved their issues. But they ended up getting into it, so it was just up. Like the newbies came in swinging, literally. So as you guys can see, Wigs is already coming off. Like, mind you, this is already what, part 1 going into part 2, because this right here would be part 2. So like it's just a lot going on. As you guys can see, I believe that's Dolly in the top left of my picture right here. I believe that's Dolly in the grayish whatever. But yeah, I didn't like the whole jumping thing that she was on, as far as her and Summer was concerned. It's like the jumping stuff gotta be stopped. They got to. But I do want to mention this. She do understand the fact that that was a rule of Baddies, like you can't jump, like that's corny. But she did make a valid point to Natalie when they made a big deal about the jumping thing, but then they were jumping. Like, you as the OGs, like y'all should know not to do certain things, but then you want the newbies to follow your lead. Like, it don't work that way. Like, if you want them to not do certain things, you don't need to be doing it. So she did have a good point as to why, but it's not a good enough excuse to act childish, because they are, like, even though the OGs, they wasn't setting a good example, you as the new girls, y'all should have been setting a better example for them. Even though we knew we can teach y'all a thing or two, you know what I'm saying? So the whole reunion, y'all, it was just going up, and that was pretty much what we got, y'all. So this episode, it went crazy, y'all. It really went crazy. Okay, so here's my predictions as far as like part 2, besides what we did kind of like see. I definitely I don't think Slim came out yet. I don't think Pretty P and Jazz, they probably did, but I really couldn't tell based off of like the little peek that we did get. But I want them to be able to come on, because I think those two were definitely misunderstood, because a lot of people felt like they wasn't really bringing what needs to be brought on the show. But I feel like those two ladies, they are definitely baddies in real life. It's not just a TV show for them. Those ladies are really, doing their big one in real life. So I'm glad that they were able to last throughout the whole season. They didn't get sent home, and I really wish that them two, I really wish they were able to, I guess, talk a little bit more as far as like on the reunion stage, and not just fighting. But you already know Pretty P, she was really doing her big one as far as her hands is concerned. Like, she got into it with a few of the ladies. So Jazz, she did her big one as well. But yeah, I feel like the ladies that really didn't get a chance to be as vocal on the show, I want them to have a voice on the reunion stage for sure. All right, y'all, so that's my recap for this episode, y'all, for part 1. Listen, y'all, I feel like these reunions, they get crazier and crazier as like the different seasons go on. And I really hope that maybe one reunion in the future, I don't know if it's Baddies Africa, whatever, but I hope they can sit down and talk. Because I feel like it's just a whole bunch of fighting going on. And they did a whole bunch of that on the show, but I really want the ladies to sit down and talk. Figure out, why do I even have beef with this girl? Like, what exactly was the root of the issue? And you really can't even get into like the questions that Janisha and Saucy really had on the card, because it's always constant fighting. Like, y'all, I love these reunions because you really see like the growth of some of these ladies, like throughout the whole season. You see like the downfall of some relationships. You see like how certain bonds like fluctuate, like maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Like, you really see like how the ladies kind of maneuver with each other throughout the whole season from beginning to end. And now at the reunion, it's like you basically reliving these same traumatic experiences that you once had. So it's good to kind of like come back to these reunions to talk about it. And yeah, y'all, I can't wait for part 2, because as you guys can see, part 2 was definitely, crazy. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, y'all, because I'm going to be posting part 2 very soon. As soon as I watch it, I'm going to do my little note type thing while I'm watching, y'all, so that we can watch it together and talk about it in the comments. So I love you guys so much, and I'm going to see y'all in part 2, y'all. I'm going to see y'all in part 2. All right, y'all. Peace out. Mwah.